and gentlemen, I'm Tamid Nasif and this is my reflection project, The Story of Thumbs. At the beginning of this semester, I was given an uphill task of completing a module called ES2331. My seniors told me it was a very scary module. Well, luckily, I had some help on my side. Have no fear, Miss Hudson is here. So she helped me through this module. So the first thing she told me was to go interview an engineer. Damn, I thought to myself, I've never done that before. I have taken modules like, you know, EE1001 and GEK2027 public speaking, which hone my presentation skills, but never an interview. But luckily, I don't have to do this alone. I had my group mates, Naman and Shankai, and together we made this happen. So let us fast forward to what I've learned after the first part of CEP1. Well, the lessons learned. Number one, the most important thing is to have a good flow in the interview. To do this, you can actually prepare some expected answers you think your interviewee might give so you can have good follow up on those. Next up, it's also important to keep your interview very focused. Sometimes the interviewee can go off topic and it is your job to bring him back, but be polite and subtle, of course. Number three, interpersonal skills are very important. Make it look like a conversation, not an interrogation. On a side note, it was rather interesting to see a very different side of my father who we interviewed. A really professional side. So, after this interview, what should I do next? Well, Miss Hudson said, let us prepare for a panel discussion. Wow, panel discussion. I've never done that before either. Now, this really threw me off. It really put me outside of my comfort zone. Presenting by yourself is one thing, but together with a group you've never rehearsed before, it's a whole new ball game. And this is what I learned from the panel discussion. Well, the lessons learned. Number one, I realized I should have done a bit more probing. Well, I need to inquire more about what the previous speaker has said and build up on that. Also, I should have done a better job at passing on the time to the next speaker. Well, have more grace at least. Well, it was easy to have a good flow as my group was very competent, but it was also harder to stand out. Now, I realized there was a lot of link between the interview and the panel discussion. A lot of the things we learned from the interview could actually be applied in the panel discussion, such as having a good flow and being focused. So after CEP1 ended, I asked Miss Hudson, so what's next? And she said, well, now it's time for your individual presentation. And I was like, yes, this is something I should be better at. This is something I'm more familiar with. Well, from my previous modules, I learned, firstly, it is very important to look presentable. And of course, to keep your presentation very audience-centric. Make sure they get what you're saying. So to do that, I went to conduct a survey of my audience members, and then I went to collate the results. So this really helped in my presentation. Now fast forward. Let us see what I learned after CEP2. Well, first up, I think I could have done a better job on my slides by putting in animations to explain my product. Because I realized I rely a bit too much on my tonality and my voice, but sometimes I forget to improve on my body language. Also, I put on more emphasis on how I present something than what I actually present on. The how is more important than the what. But I forgot what GEK 1549 taught me, which is to make the familiar strange. I know I can present, but I should have thought of ways to make it better by making my slides and content more relevant. So I realized after this that the what is just as important as the how to make a successful presentation. So from a very scary looking module, we broke it down to something, well, that is not so scary. And from a not so confident speaker, I went on to become someone who's ready for the next challenge. Thank you.